Hi, this is Genie, and this is Genie Goes to the Movies. This is my spoiler review for the movie Avengers Endgame. So if you have not seen the movie yet, please don't watch it or don't listen to this. Just turn it off. But after watching it, after watching the movie, you can tune in. So, I know Endgame is going to make a gazillion dollars in the box office worldwide. I read that it is already breaking weekend box office records in the US. It has already made hundreds of millions of dollars overseas. It is literally a major movie event. There were news items where a guy in Asia got punched by moviegoers because he spoiled the movie for those waiting in line. A celebrity in the US also got lynched by a Twitter mob for spoiling the movie. It literally is a worldwide phenomena, and everyone who loves movies will watch this movie. So I saw it last night, really late in the evening. I might add, because I bought the tickets, or my ticket, at the last minute. I went into the movie totally excited and didn't mind that I was literally watching it close to midnight. The bar was really set high since Avengers Infinity Wars. So I was really, really pumped when I came into the movie theater. I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait. So as the movie started to unfold, I realized that they were going to go completely into time travel, as was speculated, since the snap happened. And here's the problem. The way they did the time travel plot device did not really work. I mean, it worked to tie the loose ends together and plug the plot holes, but then it didn't really do much. It didn't do much service to the overall story and the characters we have come to love, including Thanos. I mean, hate him or love him, he's a really great villain. So here's the problem. If you go back in time, supposing that time travel is possible, you create another timeline which affects your current timeline, which alters it to the point where you didn't really have to go back in the first place because your current reality never happened because you already changed it. So time travel is really confusing. But if you believe in time travel and the theory of multiple universes, parallel realities, you're really just changing your timeline. But somewhere there is a parallel universe where the snap happened and didn't unhappen, and half of the occupants of the universe still became dust. So literally, you did not change anything. You may have changed your own timeline, but it still happened to another universe, just not your own. So that's something to ponder about. So the way Tony Stark and his team planned it is this. Go back in time, retrieve the stones, create your own infinity gauntlet, unsnap everything, and go back to the past, return the stones where you got them, so you will not really alter your current reality or mess with your own timeline. That is all great, except they made a lot of mistakes, such as allowing Loki to escape, allowing some characters to meet their past selves, such as Captain America and Nebula, which could have changed their timeline or worse, created another timeline. So the plan is just really silly and does not make sense unless it was just to try to connect everything and bring everyone together, or everybody back again, everybody that became dust. So Infinity Wars was a really wonderful film. It was like emotionally nuanced, and it had like great action, and the story was really good. Marvel Studios really set the bar high by creating a very multifaceted, conflicted villain who is just trying to make the universe a better place in his own way, of course. The sacrifice that the characters made was so major that it just resonated with me emotionally. I mean, I'm still haunted by the face of Peter Parker as he turned into dust in Iron Man's arms. The film had so many moving parts, but it utilized all the characters really well. It really focused on each of their story arcs. And here comes Avengers Endgames. We see a villain that is flat and uninteresting. He is just a typical baddie with no underlying rationale for his actions other than he wants to rule the universe. And also by the team killing him and finding it unsatisfying, seeking revenge and killing the younger Thanos literally means they killed the wrong guy, because that younger Thanos had not committed a crime yet. So if you think about it, they did not really go after the same person, because that Thanos has not become the monster he's supposed to become in Avengers Infinity Wars. That's something to think about. So I think this is what happened in the studio. So this is probably the conversation that happened from the producer, and he would say, "Hey team, we created a movie that was perfect. Great plot, great villain, great action, great everything. People are emotionally invested and we made a lot of money. But now what? What happens after the snap?" And most likely this is how they responded. "Let's use the time travel plot device and add a twist. Let us use it to conveniently plug the plot holes, but at the same time allow the audience to go back to memory lane." I think this really happened, because the story of Endgame makes no sense. It literally does not. Okay, so you killed the major baddie, but he got rid of the Infinity Stones in the present time, so they have to go back in time to retrieve the time stones from the past, recreate the time stone gauntlet, Infinity Gauntlet in the present, and then unsnap everybody back into existence. But as a consequence, you actually introduce the other version of the major baddie from the past to the present. So my question is, why not just kill Thanos before he snaps people out of existence? Let's say Thor already knows how to aim for Thanos' head, not the heart. And let us say he goes back in time, aims for the head, end of story. I suspect Endgame's time travel plot device was just created to conveniently stitch story arcs together. And here's my critique for the story arcs. So Iron Man's story arc. Iron Man's death was not a major spoiler. Robert Downey Jr. already announced he was going to stop playing Iron Man. So it was obvious that his character would either be killed off or killed off. From Infinity Wars, it was already hinted that Iron Man would make the ultimate sacrifice, the reason why Doctor Strange gave up the Time Stone in exchange for Tony Stark's life. Captain America's story arc. He is one of my favorite Avenger characters, because he really is the heart of the Avengers if you think about it, with his attitude of never giving up, of being loyal to his friends, sacrificing everything for the good of all. When he fought his doppelganger, his other self said, "I can do this all day," and he said, "I know." This means that Captain Marvel will always fight for what is right and will always do the right thing, and he's in it for the long haul. So he will always persevere. But by going back in time, basically breaking their rule of not altering their own timeline, he did something that was totally out of character. He gave up being a hero and lived an ordinary life. What I would have wanted to see was that he'd go back in time, have that final dance with Agent Carter, and then go back to the present. Yes, he will only slightly alter the timeline, but not totally alter it, because Agent Carter already had a life, and he's like, he altered it. I can understand why the producers and writers had to do this type of send-off for his character. Chris Evans also expressed his desire to retire from the Marvel Universe, and somehow they had a choice of letting him die or letting him give up his hero status. So they chose the latter, in a very bad way that is really a disservice to his character. He got his happy ending, but it was so unlike him. But I guess, given a chance to live his life all over again, he really couldn't help it but to take that chance, even if it means selfishly altering their timeline. So Captain Marvel, she is just conveniently added. She's just added in at the very last minute to save the day at crucial moments. She's not really even part of the team. She just swoops in to save Iron Man in the beginning, then swoops back in at the end and destroys the mothership. It seems as if her character was just tacked in. Black Widow. She was a crucial member of the original Avengers. She was part of the journey from day one. And for me, it seems a huge disservice that she sacrificed her life to get the Soul Stone, only to have one scene where people were sad about her loss, and after that, she was not even mentioned. It became all about Tony Stark. Thor. His story arc is my favorite in the movie. Like, his story arc just shines. I can even say that Endgame is partly a Thor film. Every time Thor appeared, he just stole all the scenes. His character had the most growth from a hero, from a hero who lost his reason for being. I love that they gave him a beer belly and made him look really goofy. When he traveled back in time and met his mother again, there was an emotional resonance to that scene. It was one of the moments in the film that felt the most real. And I was like emotionally invested in that scene. It was really wonderful. And the Endgame battle scene. I did not enjoy the battle scene as much as I did in Infinity Wars. So the Endgame battle scene, it was just a mishmash of characters, and the CGI was not really that good. The fighting sequence was not groundbreaking. They didn't really, step it up. It was just like, oh, let's just make a fight scene, let everybody be there. And it's like, okay, but make it groundbreaking. It wasn't. I mean, Aquaman, another movie from the DC universe, their rival, really topped the battle scene for me. The battle scene in Aquaman was really amazing because, I heard that the director really took his time to visualize every moving part, and he really put his heart and soul into it, making it groundbreaking, visually stunning. In Endgame, there were too many moving parts, and the camera just panned from one character to the next. It was not well thought of. Unfortunately, it was very forgettable, except the scene where Iron Man made the ultimate sacrifice. That was probably the best part of the battle scene. Nebula and Gamora. So their relationship seemed really rushed. Like Gamora just said, okay, let us betray our father out of the blue and let's be friends. This totally does not make sense because there's another Nebula present, which makes more sense for that Gamora to take the side of that Nebula because she knows that version of Nebula, and it does not make sense that she would side with another version of Nebula. Does not make sense. It just seems like, okay, we have to tie this up together and just make it work, but it does not. It's like, what's their rationale? There's nothing. Treatment of women characters. There are a lot of strong female characters in Avengers, but they're not really given much importance in the movie. Their characters are not really fully utilized. Black Widow's ultimate sacrifice was not even a big deal compared to the loss of Iron Man, of course. Captain Marvel, another female character, just swoops in and swoops out. The Scarlet Witch gets a few minutes of screen time, but it wasn't unsatisfying because she did not deal the final blow. Iron Man had to do it. Death of Thanos. It was unsatisfying because although they killed off both versions of him, both of his deaths is really unsatisfying. Question though, if you kill the younger version of Thanos, it means the present Thanos never existed, right? So this is a plot hole unraveled. The time jump. Why did they wait 5 years before they went back in time to unsnap people? It seems that by waiting 5 years, there's really no urgency anymore to undo the horrible thing that was done. I mean, knowing Iron Man, he built the Iron Man suit imprisoned in a cave. I'm sure he would have figured time travel much sooner. By waiting 5 years, there's really no reason to change anything. And also, it makes it confusing that Peter Parker is still in high school after 5 years. That does not make sense. Another plot hole unraveled. Overall, I don't hate Endgame. I just don't like it as much as I like Infinity Wars. If you're just looking to go down memory lane and have fun watching the movies of your favorite, watching the stories of your favorite heroes unfold, then that's okay. But if you're like me, you want the plot to make sense, and you desire good storytelling, you will not like this film. It does not mean that I don't enjoy the film. I enjoyed it tremendously. It's just that it was disappointing because it was so predictable. I knew the characters who were going to die. It was disappointing to see a great villain like Thanos turn into a caricature. He's not even the same villain. I had a fun time though. I love Thor in this movie, and I think his character truly shines. I'm excited for his upcoming adventures. Captain America's story arc was a real disappointment. They should have just killed him off too. The time travel as a plot device that does not work unless time travel is the story in itself, like the movie Edge of Tomorrow, for example. I can critique Endgame all day and not run out of plot holes. I just wish, though, that the producers still care about good storytelling and not just convenient plot devices. It seemed like they're just pandering to the fans. The reason why some people like me became fans in the first place is because of the great storytelling. It's all about the characters, not the plot devices. So I end this spoiler review with some dread that Phase 4 of the MCU will just be about milking the superhero genre for all that it is worth. Good storytelling be damned. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my spoiler review of Avengers Endgame. And, you can agree with me or you can disagree with me, but this is just my opinion. And I really enjoyed the movie though, but it's not my favorite Avenger film. It's still the first Avengers and then Infinity Wars. Thank you very much. Goodbye.